Beautiful Streets, Platonic Love, Gustav Klimt, 1862 to 1918, and Emily Floeg, 1874 to 1952. Gustav Klimt was born in Baumgarten, a small town outside of Vienna, the second of 3 sons and 4 daughters. His father was a goldsmith and his mother an aspiring singer. The family was so poor that Klimt had to move 5 times between 1862 and 1884 in search of his father's work. At the age of 17, along with his younger brother Ernst Klimt and his colleague Franz Mach, Klimt founded the Artist Company to earn money from his paintings. And by the age of 30, he had achieved great success as a painter at a relatively early age. He became one of the leading artists of his time in Vienna, painting the ceiling of the new Burgtheater, which was built as part of Emperor Joseph II's Ringstrasse urban development plan, as well as commemorative paintings for the City Art Gallery and murals for the Kunsthistorisches Museum. In 1892, in the midst of his rise to fame, both Klimt's father and brother Ernst died. Klimt, who was so disturbed by their loss that he radically changed his artistic direction and moved to Vienna for 3 years. Vienna was a city where time seemed to stand still. Even the buildings erected in the new urban development by the Austrian Habsburg royal family, which had fiercely resisted Napoleon's French Revolution, had reverted to their Renaissance appearance, a far cry from the Eiffel Tower in Paris and the skyscrapers of New York City. Correspondingly, the Austrian art scene was dominated by historicist paintings, but Klimt, who had been recognized for his work in the classical Vienna art scene, left the established Austrian Artists' Guild, abandoning his stable life as a painter to form the Succession. The Succession was a new artistic movement whose atmosphere was characterized by innovation. As president of the Succession, Klimt successfully organized its annual exhibitions from 1897 to 1904, helping to change the artistic climate in Vienna. Having previously pursued a classicist style, Klimt began to explore a new artistic world in his work, in which he sought to distinguish himself from historicism through eroticism. His Palais Athena in 1898 is a traditional subject, Greek mythology, but the way it is presented is completely new. The goddess Athena is dressed in gold and holds a female nude in her right hand instead of the Nike, a symbol of victory. His choice of eroticism as a challenge to the dominance of historicism seems to hint at the beginning of his golden age. For Klimt, pure eroticism had the power to expose and break through the contradictions and hypocrisies of the Austrian bourgeoisie of his time. It was here that the golden patterns and intense eroticism became his signature style, and his golden age was born. Not surprisingly, women were Klimt's favorite subjects, and on his canvases they were transformed into glamorous, erotic figures. A lifelong bachelor, Klimt is said to have had at least 14 children out of wedlock. He worked in only one piece of clothing, a bathrobe, and his love affairs never left his studio. He was a womanizing painter who loved women and cats, but above all, he was an activist for social change and a great leader of his peers. Klimt died in February 1918 at the age of 55 during the Spanish flu epidemic that was sweeping the world. Ironically, his student, Egon Schiele, died of the Spanish flu in October of that year. The woman who was at Gustav Klimt's side the longest was Emilie Louise Floeg. with whom he had a platonic love affair from a beautiful distance rather than an erotic relationship. In fact, Klimt and Emilie were related. Emilie's older sister, Helene, was married to Klimt's brother, Ernst. Ernst introduced Emilie to Klimt in 1891, when she was 17. From that point on, Klimt took an interest in her, painting portraits of her and including her in commissioned paintings. The frame of her first portrait, which Klimt made himself, shows how much he cared for her. When Klimt's father and brother Ernst died the following year, he became the guardian of his niece Helene and began living with her and Emilie, spending vacations with them. From then on, Emilie became his muse. Emilie started out as a seamstress, working in the costume shop. Her older sister Pauline opened in 1895. In 1899, she entered and won a costume contest with her sister, and in 1904 she founded her own high-end fashion label, Schwestern Flog. The Flog sisters became successful designer and entrepreneur. With her revolutionary costume designs, she was quite the epitome of the modern woman, often going against the grain and wearing her own outrageous outfits. Having a taste for elaborate Byzantine mosaics and ornamentation, Klimt introduced Emilie to high society women as clients, and she in turn created outfits for Klimt's models. A lover of Asian art, they also collected textiles from Asia and Europe together. On February 11, 1918, in his last moments, Klimt is said to have said, "Bring me Emilie." Emilie, sole woman he sought on his deathbed, died in 1952, never having pursued another man, either during her time with Klimt or after his death. She was buried not in the Flug family plot, but next to Klimt's grave. Gustav Klimt is the artist of gold. Its usage marks the golden age of Klimt's art. With a father who was a goldsmith, it has also adorned the fundaments of Klimt's life. His The Tree of Life uses golden colors and decorative patterns to reflect his creative experience and the artistic and social context of the time. The golden Byzantine mosaic patterns in his work also resemble the patterns in the fashion designs of his muse, Emilie Flog. Klimt's exhibition space is organized around the motif of the Tree of Life, which was originally intended as a mural for the dining room of the Palais Stokely in Brussels, Belgium.